Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesdays. It is April 19th, 2022. We're very glad you're with us today. Let's see here. For those people who are on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just enter your questions into the chat box. For those watching on Facebook, please just enter your questions into the comment field. We are monitoring that feed. And also for those who are on Zoom, if you'd like to connect with other people who are on the call, you're welcome to put your contact information in there so people can reach out and you can expand your LinkedIn connections with everybody who's on the call today. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It's available on Amazon for $15, but if you see me in person, you can get it for $10. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s, and we have a very interesting program coming up this Friday, and I'll tell you about that at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, also known as the PIC Crew. Your resume and your LinkedIn profile is not going to get you a job, but it will get you a phone call. How well you're interviewing, how well you've practiced your interviewing skills is what's going to get you the job. So if you'd like to get more information on the practice interview team, the PIC Crew, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you that information. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn. They rotate through on a monthly basis. We're really glad to have them. I mean, they're all experts in their field. Today, Ruth Lipsky is with us. She's a career coach specializing in talent development and career transition. And she's going to talk about how to drive recruiters to your LinkedIn profile. Good afternoon, Ruth, and thank you for being with us.
Pleasure to be here. So happy to be able to join this organization and to continue talking about the importance of a resume and a LinkedIn profile. You're covering all the steps of finding a new way to get a job. And I think we all should say thank you to you for all the work that you put in on this. We're going to talk today about LinkedIn. And there are 2 reasons why you really want to be on LinkedIn. One is that if you have applied for a job on a company career page, it's going to get in the hands of a recruiter. And a recruiter knows that your resume is one set of skills for that one job at that one company. But quite often the recruiter wants to see a little bit more about you, about what other skills you might have, a little bit more about the personality behind the resume, and they're going to go out onto your LinkedIn profile for that. The other reason that you want to be on LinkedIn is because recruiters more and more are going out onto LinkedIn and doing an independent search for the type of role that they're trying to hire for. So they're going to put in a title, they're going to put in skills, and they're going to find people on LinkedIn that have those qualifications. The recruiter is going to be able to contact those people immediately and say, got a job opening here. Looks like you've got the skills we're looking for. You interested? Can we set up an interview? So the 2 different sides of why you're on LinkedIn can lead to a little bit different set of information that you're going to want in your LinkedIn profile. And we're going to talk today about how we make sure that recruiters are able to find us and that we come up high on the list when recruiters are doing that type of search. Now, one thing to remember is that LinkedIn calculates a score for your profile every day. And your score is based on how complete your program is and particularly the amount of information that you have on your LinkedIn profile. So if you have an about section, good. You get a certain number of points for having an about section. But if you have an about section that contains a minimum of 40 words, then you get bonus points. And you want to be able to have those bonus points because you want the recruiter to see as much information as possible in that about section, but you also need the points to bring you up high enough in that recruiter search that you're going to be a serious contender for the job. So increasing your score based on the information you've got in your profile, the number of connections you have, what you've got in your interest area at the bottom of your LinkedIn profile. If you're doing job searches, if you are trying to network to people, and if you're active on the home page, all of those are huge pieces of your profile score. Now, if you're not doing that for a period of time, say you go a whole week without doing anything on LinkedIn at all, then your score starts going down. So your score can go up, but your score can go down pretty quickly if LinkedIn feels that you're no longer engaged, either because you have a job and you're not interested in LinkedIn anymore, or you just don't feel that LinkedIn is the place where you're going to find the best bang for the bucks. You cannot see your score. LinkedIn is never going to tell you that, nor is it going to tell you what the point value is for any of the features that you may be using. But there is a score behind your profile, and it's important to know that it's based on what you've got in your profile and your continued activity on your profile page. So we're going to take a look more closely at what the LinkedIn recruiter activity looks like, because that's going to give us the best feel for how we're being measured and what in particular is going to be important to recruiters as they're using the LinkedIn recruiter software. Now, you've probably been to one of the sessions that Jeff hosts on the LinkedIn recruiter software itself. So we're going to go over this just briefly. In a typical search, the recruiter is going to be looking for a title, in this case, project manager, and maybe a location, in this case, the greater Chicago area. And they're generally going to put in some skills, not too many, but a couple of skills that they feel are going to be important for success in this role. So we've got business strategy and we've got analytics as being the two skills we're looking for. LinkedIn brings back 42,798 different candidates that all have those attributes. Now, LinkedIn never does anything randomly. So the fact that Emily Dalton is number 1, Channing Curry is number 2, Aubrey Mackey is at number 3 on this list is deliberate. And the recruiters know that. The recruiters know that LinkedIn is giving them people in the order that LinkedIn feels they are most appropriately tying into the requirements. So once you have nearly 43,000 candidates, the recruiters got the opportunity to use spotlight features. And spotlight features are going to be able to provide a little bit more information about what it is that the person is doing and what type of activities they've been on in LinkedIn. So in this case, we're going to say that this recruiter is looking for people who are open to new opportunities. They want you to have that, either that hashtag open to work, or if you don't want that to be visible to everybody on LinkedIn, at least making sure that the recruiter knows that you're open to work. They want to know that you've got company connections. Are you connected to people in their company so that you know a little bit more about the company itself? Are you engaged in their talent brand? Being engaged in a talent brand means that you've gone onto the company website on LinkedIn and you're following that company. When you follow the company on LinkedIn, it's going to appear in your interest area, but it's also going to increase the material that comes onto your homepage. So that company is going to be able to place fairly high up on your homepage information about their company. It'll talk about maybe profitability, maybe new products, maybe employee engagement activities, but you're allowing them to push information to you about their company. The other parts of the spotlight that aren't showing up in this particular search are the likely to respond and being a past applicant. Likely to respond is another one of those features that LinkedIn calculates on your profile that you cannot see. So if a recruiter is trying to contact you for a possible job, they'll be sending you a message. And on the message tab of your LinkedIn profile, you'll see that there's a note saying, got this job, here's the details of it. Looks like you've got the qualifications we're looking for. Can we set up some time? Are you interested? If you ignore those because you're not interested in that particular job, then your likely to respond rate goes down. If you respond to every single one of those recruiter outreaches, then your likely to respond goes up. So even if you're not interested in that job, you need to respond to the recruiter by saying, not quite what I'm looking for, or maybe not the industry I'm looking for, and then give some specifics. The recruiters are sometimes able to help you out on those things too. But always respond to a recruiter who sends a message to you. Now, there are other messages you're going to get on LinkedIn, and there are going to be plenty of people trying to sell you services. You can ignore those. Those are not part of the calculation. But if it's a recruiter and they identify themselves as a recruiter with either a company or a headhunter group, respond to them, yes or no. Now notice also when LinkedIn provides information on these 42,000 and some odd candidates, there's very little information that really comes up. So we know that they're going to give the most recent title at the most recent company, where they're located, and it'll give the past 2 or 3 jobs. And if there are some searches by using the spotlights, those will appear on the page also. But there's very little information that the recruiter is able to use to judge what it is that this person does. So we're going to be talking in a little bit about expanding the titles that you've got in your headline area, so that when a recruiter is looking for a project manager, they're going to see plenty of project manager titles up here. But LinkedIn has recently expanded this area to 220 characters, so that you can not only put in your title, you can put in skills, you can put in values, you can put in specializations that will give the recruiter, who has very little other information, a lot of information about who you are and what you can do. It used to be that when a recruiter was on LinkedIn, we felt that the highest possible connection was to have the right title. And you'll see an awful lot of blogs and opinions out there that talk about the importance of having the right title, multiple titles, family of titles, because we felt that that was the best way to get the recruiter's attention and get high on the recruiter list. What we found out just in the last couple of months is that that's not the priority of LinkedIn anymore. The highest priority of LinkedIn on these searches is mutual interest. And when we're talking about mutual interest, we are trying to say that we are looking for a way to connect the recruiter and the candidate, so the recruiter is not going out into an area that they might not get a good response on, it might not be a particular interest. We're going to make sure that there is some connection between the recruiter and the candidate with that company. So they're going to be looking at, notice what these are. These are the spotlight features. If you respond to a recruiter when they message you, if you connect to the employees that are in a company, if you're following the company on LinkedIn, if you are open to work and you have that feature turned on in your profile, and if you have applied for that job in the past, those are all ways the recruiter is going to be able to say, here's someone who's interested in my company, someone who is trying to find out more information about my company. And it's a good possibility that they're going to want to be interviewed, that they are probably more likely to accept a job when it's offered, and they're more likely to stay with the company for a longer period of time if they've shown this kind of interest in them. Now, after that mutual interest, absolutely comes the relevance to the job itself. Looking for the titles, looking for the keywords, looking for the skill quiz. But first thing to know is that they want to know that you're interested in them. So part of your goals on LinkedIn will be to connect to the companies that you're interested in, to find the companies that maybe have been competitors for the company that you're currently working with, or are simply companies that you like their product, you want to be part of their organization. The candidate's activity on LinkedIn and the recruiter's past preferences are also important to their algorithm, but the two that you're going to be able to control most are going to be the mutual interest items and the relevance to the job being searched. So how do we increase that visibility? We're going to start with a headline area, the area that's right underneath your name. And you notice that when we were looking at that accountant search, that everybody had a title of accountant, but they didn't have a heck of a lot of information that described what type of work they did or what additional features that recruiter should know about that. So in the headline, we used to want to have titles in here, just titles, because it used to be just 110 characters, and we had to be careful about what we put there, and we felt the titles were the best option for us. Not anymore. Now that they have expanded this to 220 characters, they are inviting us to put in more information. So if on that search that the recruiter did a couple of slides ago, we had something that was broader, accountant, senior accountant, increasing productivity in highly regulated industries, it tells the recruiter a little bit more and is probably going to catch the recruiter's eye for an additional look at your profile in more detail, because you've given them the opportunity to see that there's more to you than just a title. We like having one or two, possibly even three different titles that are going to be indicative of the role that you're looking for, but we're also going to want that value statement, creating value, specialized in, helping the world become more customer-centric. And this is going to be very specific to the type of role you're looking for in the future. Notice when we're taking a look at somebody who is a full-stack application developer, they're putting in very detailed information about what technical things that they use. Or somebody who is a more high-level strategic can get by with putting in something that is more of a management goal, possibly closer to a mission statement. So depending on the type of role you're looking for, depends on the type of information you're going to want to put in your headline so that you're able to add the amount of value that you think is going to bring a recruiter to your profile and bring you into the job market faster. Now, LinkedIn has also created a skill assessment test. And in the skills section of LinkedIn, you'll see that there is a box that says take skill quiz. LinkedIn used to rely on endorsements in order to identify how well you do your job. Well, they found that endorsements weren't necessarily a good indication of strength of skill. So they created some tests that were going to be able to actually measure how well a person knew this particular skill. These are going to be advanced skills. And they're going to be in three different categories. You've got the technical skills, you've got business skills, which is where you'll find most of the Microsoft Suite items, and we've got design assessments. If you have a skill that you feel is a strong skill in any of these areas, you should take this test, because LinkedIn is telling us that if you pass the test, then you're 20% more likely to be hired for a job where that's a requirement for success. And the test itself, 15 to 20 questions. They will be multiple choice. It is a timed test, and you have to complete the test in one session. 70% or better gives you a passing grade. And when you have a passing grade, you can put this badge. It looks like a check mark in a box, maybe on a clipboard, but you can add that to your skills section. And when you move your cursor over it, it'll say that you passed the LinkedIn assessment. If you don't get a 70 or above, nobody's going to see that. Nobody's going to know about that. You can retake the test, but you have to wait for 3 months, and then you can retake the test, and they will be different questions. This badge is only good for a year. There's an assumption that most of these technical areas have new skills that they bring out, new features they bring out on a regular basis. So you have to go back and retake the test every year to ensure that you know all of the new features there. But if you have a skill that is an important part of your job, let's say Excel, go ahead and take the exam. If you don't pass, you don't pass, but you'll have a better feel for what they're looking for. You may want to take it again in 3 months, but recruiters are able to search for people who actually have passed this test. So here's another screen for the LinkedIn Recruiter software. The recruiter here is looking for a software engineer who has skills in software engineering, in JavaScript, Swift, Ruby on Rails, and Agile development. Well, 3 of these have tests associated with them. The JavaScript, the Swift, and the Ruby on Rails are all test worthy. So they go down to this next section and it says, I want to be able to see the people who have passed at least one of these tests, because these are the important features that we're going to expect out of this new person. Tell me if they passed it. So now the people who came up at the top of the list for the recruiter are going to show that they have a test that is passed for 2 out of these 3. This one has 1. This one I think is a pass also. But it provides the recruiter with the ability to say, if I'm looking for a business analyst and they've got to be good at Excel, I want to find the people who have passed that Excel exam so that they know enough about Excel to be able to come in and help the company immediately. We're not going to have to send them through remedial Excel in order to have the macros that are important for us. They're going to know how to create those from the very beginning. So take the skill quiz. It's an important part that the recruiters are using more and more. And there have been instances where the recruiters in an introductory interview, where the HR recruiter is doing just a general review of the material, they might say, are you good at Excel? It's important for this job. If you say yes, they'll say, okay, go on to LinkedIn, take the Excel exam, and get back with me when you pass it. So they're using this as a way to curate and find the right people who have the skills that they want to see immediately. So if you're not taking it independently, you might want to do it because a recruiter might ask you to do it anyway. Now, also in the skills section, you need to have the right skills. And the skills that seem to be coming up most often are going to be the ones that you'll find in the job description. But the top 5 soft skills that recruiters have been looking for in the last 2 years are creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. You need to have these 5 skills, if not in your skills section, then somewhere in your LinkedIn profile, because recruiters are looking for people who have these sets of soft skills. The hard skills are going to be based on whatever type of work you're doing, but the soft skills are the ones that are going to show the recruiter that you're going to fit in with the company and that you're going to be able to be part of the company culture quickly. So you're going to put them in the skills section, in the about section, in your experience section. There are a lot of places you can put these words. If you're interested in remote work, and more people are looking to work from home, you want to be able to add in the skills that indicate that you've got those self-management abilities. So active learning, resilience, stress tolerance, and self-motivation are the skills that recruiters are looking for if they are looking for somebody who is in a remote position. Not everybody does well on a remote type of role. They want to make sure that you're able to manage that. We want to add more content. So as we're talking about the content that we want to add, we're going to move into the profile itself so that we can take a look more closely at it. Headline area, make sure that you've got something that talks about who you are and what you do. In your analytics section, this is the closest you're going to come to finding a score. If you're seeing that you have people looking at your profile, that you're appearing in searches by recruiters, if those numbers are going up, that means that you're doing things right. Keep it up, keep your activity level up. If you're changing things, if you're improving things, if you're engaged in discussions, more and more of that, that's going to increase these numbers. So take a look at your analytics as to what they are today, and then just take a look at the end of every week and see if they're going up or down, because that's an indication of how well LinkedIn is putting you in their sort features. Now, in your About section, you're going to make sure that you've got information about the skills. You're going to have the stories of how you've done your work. And in your Experience section, we're going to talk about the headline here too. My official title at LHH is Career Consultant, but Career Coach is often used as a same type of job title. So I'm going to put more job titles in my Experience so that I can assure a recruiter that I can do either job, whatever you want to call it. If you were in a role like a project manager role, that could mean just about anything. It's best to put additional information in your title area and Experience to explain what it is you did. So in my case, in one of my previous roles, Senior Manager of Training and Development, what I actually did was I moved the information that we had in our training department online. So I've got a tremendous amount of experience in instructional design and as an e-learning developer. So I put those in parentheses to indicate that this was the focus, and I had so much work in these two areas that I could accept a job easily with those titles. If you're looking at moving slightly in a different direction from what you had before, because you did that type of job, or you liked that type of activity within your last job, and you want to work more on it, put more titles into your Experience section, either to translate what you did or to be able to tell the recruiter more closely what type of activity you had in spite of having a different title that the company gave you. So more information in your Experience section, because that title is still going to be an important type of connection. Now let's go back in and we're going to add some profile sections. If you have a resume, then you've probably found that you can cut and paste your resume and put it into the LinkedIn profile, because LinkedIn is your online resume. They want you to be able to move easily from your resume into LinkedIn and put all the information in that you want. But it also gives you the opportunity to add more information. So this one's new, adding a career break. If you've been unemployed for 5 or more months, you might want to be able to put in that you are, you've either been laid off or your position was eliminated, or that you're doing volunteer work. Maybe you're a caregiver, taking care of family at this point. There are ways to indicate that you have a valid reason for not being in a job right now. And if you're just taking some additional skills, learning how to do something new, this professional development is a nice one to put in, because it indicates that although you were successful in previous roles, you're learning more about what is going to be in your future. And that's always a good sign for a new company. So the career break is going to be something new under this profile section. In this recommended area, it's going to want you to put in your license and certifications. You may already have this information in your about section. You may already have this in your headline area, but you need to put it into this area because this is a searchable area that recruiters use during their search. And they could find it elsewhere on your profile, but it's since LinkedIn has a separate section for it, use that too. Repeating information on LinkedIn is a good thing to be able to do. Now, adding courses. Most companies want people who are willing to learn new things. And if you've taken any classes during your time at a company where they asked you to learn about difficult conversations, about how to do a performance appraisal, about how to process through a new product type. Add those courses in here because it indicates that you are capable of learning. And you should also put in the classes that you had to take on an annual basis from the compliance or the legal team that was talking about privacy, about a harassment-free organization, about anti-money laundering. You had to take some courses on an annual basis in order to be good at your job usually. Put those in here because that indicates to your new company that you understand the importance of knowing that information and that you're willing to take those classes again in the future because you know you will. So adding courses is going to give a recruiter more information about who you are and how well you embrace the idea of new information. In the additional section here, volunteer experience is a great thing to add in. I don't care how far back you have to go. If you've got volunteer experience, recruiters more and more are aware that you're representing the company and that they need to have information about themselves that go into the community and social events. They're probably going to be sponsoring some charities. They want to know that you're going to be willing to help out. If you've got publications, if you've got patents, if you've been awarded something, put that in here. These are the areas that are going to expand your information on LinkedIn. This project area is a great one also, because when you're writing out what your accomplishments were on your resume and on LinkedIn, you're normally putting it in a bullet point and you're saying that you did this by doing that and here are the results. And you're limited in space because you don't have a heck of a lot of room for it. Well, now LinkedIn has added this project area where you can name the project, talk about when you did it, who you did it with, but this description area gives you 2,000 characters to talk about the STAR format. What was the situation? What was the background? Why was it something important to do? Why hadn't anybody done it before? What were your actions? What were your tasks? Who did you work with? How did you work with them? What were the results? It gives you the ability to put in a lot of information that is going to provide a new company with an understanding of what you did, how you did it, and the knowledge that you can do it for them too. So 2,000 characters, big area. The about section is 2,600 characters. That's about the biggest one we've got. So add in some additional information about projects you've done. Also within this, in this additional area, you can add causes. Recruiters and companies like to know what you're interested in too. It makes you more human, it makes you more relatable. So LinkedIn has created some causes that you may want to add to your profile. It's not searchable. It's something that's just there as a socially interesting piece of information about you at the very bottom of your profile page. But it's still good to have something filled out so they know a bit more about you. Now let's talk about that networking and that mutual interest, because that's going to be key to making sure that you've got the right information to the right companies. So open up the chat feature, and if somebody could tell me a company that they're interested in. Or you can just shout it out.
Coventrus.
Ah, somebody got to chase. Oh, Coventrus.
Once again, another company I've never heard of, but that's not surprising anymore.
Okay.
It's actually Coventrus. Coventrus.
US. Okay. In
Correct.
the drop down, you'll see the company, making sure it's one that you want here. And you can follow it immediately. LinkedIn is giving you the opportunity to follow it, but you really want to view the page because it's going to tell you a little bit more about the company. Go ahead and follow it, but it's going to give you some tabs so that you can learn more about the company. And in this jobs tab, it allows you to create a job alert. And in the job alert, you're going to be able to put in a title, and you're going to put in the job location, and then you're going to create the job alert. What that does is that anytime the company has a job similar to that in the same job family that they're posting on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is going to push back a series of profiles and say, these are all people who have created a job alert for this type of job with your company, and their profile matches what you're looking for. Check them out first. So creating a job alert here is going to help you get in front of all the recruiters at that company. You can have up to 8 different job alerts per company. I would suggest just 1 or 2, because you can only have 20 job alerts altogether on LinkedIn, and the job alerts on this page are combined with the job alerts you have on your jobs tab. So generally 1 will do, 2 if you think it's necessary. But then you go to the meet people side. So now you're following them in 2 different ways. 1, you're following the company. 2, you're telling them what kind of job. Now you're going to go into the people tab, and you're going to be able to see that there are 2,268 employees in this company, and it gives you information about them. And let's open this up a bit. So here's where they live, and here's where they study. If you want to narrow it down so that you're taking a look simply at the people who are in your city or in the city that you think is most important to you, you can start doing it that way. Particularly for the multinational countries, you might want to at least narrow it down to the United States. But then you're going to use this next button, and it's going to tell you what they do. This is what department they work in. So now not only can you separate them out by here's the city, but now you can say, and here's the department I'm interested in. If you're interested in what they studied, you can take a look at that too, but let's take a look at next one more time. When they're skilled at something and they have that skill in their skill section of the LinkedIn profile, it's going to show up here. But it's also going to tell you if you're connected to people. I had no idea I was connected to somebody in this company. But you click on that, you come down and you can see who it is you're connected to. You can send a note. I'm interested. Hi, Jillian. How are things going? I'm interested in job opportunities at the company. Looking particularly at this job. Do you know who the hiring manager is? Let's talk. So if you've got a first degree connection, great idea to connect with them and let them know. If instead of a first degree connection, you don't have any, then you're going to want to go to your second degree connections. And that means that you and somebody else have people in common in your networks. So Michael Dowd and I have connections in common in our networks. If I wanted to be able to connect with any of these people, I'd be able to say, I see we have people in common in our LinkedIn networks. I'm interested in positions at Vetras. How do you like it there? Let's connect.
Let me jump in here real quick. Just when you see the white connect button, if you click on that white connect button, it will send the automatic invitation or the generic invitation. You're not allowed to personalize it. So if you want to connect with anybody, you want to click on their picture, then go to their profile, and then you'll see a blue connect button, or just be under more, be able to click on connect, and then you can always send a personal note. And you always want to send a personal note.
And a personal note, thank you, Jeff. That's an important part. The personal note is going to be important because they need to have a reason to connect with you. And normally the people who are most likely to connect with you are going to be the people who have, maybe they've added a background, they at least have a picture of themselves. Those are the folks who you should try first. But you can try and connect with everybody within the second degree, as long as you don't feel as if you're inundating people and spamming them. Now, going back, you can also do a search and say, I want to know everybody who's got a title of recruiter. And the 30 people, and these are people who are currently in a role that has recruiter as a title, but they also have people who have recruiter roles in the past. So you've got to separate those folks out. And you can go through by taking a look. This person's an executive recruiter. That might be something. You might see high volume recruiters. These are the turnover roles, generally the lower level ones that have a lot of volume associated with them. Executive recruiters, you can find college recruiters, but finding a recruiter who might be able to help you out, going in, not using the white connect button, but going into the person's name with their picture, using the blue connect button. I'm interested in jobs at Vetras. I am give a title with these skills, looking at this job, would love to talk, let's connect. So being able to connect with recruiters are generally your best bet for connecting in a company because their job is to connect with people and to find people. So generally, if you're going to find people who are going to be willing to connect with you, it's going to be in the recruiter. But you can also find people who might be the hiring manager. So if you think the director of sales is going to be the person who is going to have, whoa, didn't expect that, 99 of them.
Well, maybe if you put it in quotes, like a Boolean search. Nope, still 99. Okay. Must be like the vice presidents at a bank.
Okay, got it down to 5 by going into an area here. If you think that this is going to be the person who is going to have the final decision, you can take a look at each one of these people's profiles. This person is probably not in the position, but probably had that position in the past someplace. This person's in procurement, may not be the right person unless you're going into the procurement side of sales. So narrowing it down by the people who come up here are going to be a way of finding the folks that might be the best bet for you to connect with and say, I am this title. I see you have a job opening that requires these skills. Would love to discuss. If you're not the right person, let me know who I should be talking to. But in the meantime, let's connect. Being able to network into a company is not only utilizing the features that are straightforward up here with the follow and the job alerts, but it's also finding some of the people. You need to connect with at least one person within each company that you're going to be looking for. So now let's take a look and talk about universities or colleges. Could someone give me a college or university?
University of Iowa.
All right. And here we go. Now, once again, you've got the choice of following it. Let's go ahead and view the page. Schools are one of those areas that people don't connect with enough. If your spouse, if your parents, if your kids, and especially if you're paying tuition for your kids to go to school, follow their school. If you just like their football team, their basketball team, follow that school. The more schools you've got, the better it's going to look as if you've got an interest in education. So utilize that as one of the ways of just connecting in general. But here, we don't care as much about jobs because we're not finding a job here, but we are interested in the alumni. And this page is going to tell us about the 168,939 people who have attended the University of Ohio in the last 122 years and who have a LinkedIn profile. Now, let's open this up a bit. The first one is still the column on where they live, but the second one is where they work. So if we wanted to be able to take a look at who did we go to school with that is in a company that I want to join. Well, here they are. We've got two people who are currently at the company and will be, if you're not a connection with them, you can become one by sending them not a message, but going in and finding either their blue connect button or their connect feature here and saying, I see you also went to University of Iowa. I enjoyed my time there. I'm interested in a career change into, and then give the company they're in. How do you like it there? Let's connect. And now you've given them a good reason to connect. You went to the same school. They've got to be good people if they went to the same school with you. So being able to say that you attended the school, or you can say, my daughter attends the University of Iowa, loves it there. Hope your time was good there too. And then go on to your networking request. You've only got 300 characters, so you can't say a heck of a lot, but you can at least give them a reason why you're connecting with them. Okay, and connections there too. Now, instead of that company, if it was a bigger company, when it comes up with more than one where they work, when you've only asked for Amazon, these are the people who are currently working at Amazon. These are the people who have worked at Amazon in the past, but are now working or have an official title at a different company. So for the most part, you might want to stay with the people who are part of Amazon today because they might know a little bit more about who the recruiter, the hiring manager, any interviewing tips. They might have more information to share with you on that. But you can always go and find people who used to be there. Okay, and connecting through that. All right, in that case, we're going to go to the home page, and on the home page, LinkedIn is pushing you information that it thinks you want to see. It's going to give you information that is going to be content that comes from people in your network, from the companies that you're following, from the influencers you might be following, from the groups that you're in, from the hashtags that you're in. So being able to take a look at what you've got on this page is going to be an important part of ensuring that you stay connected and active. You get a lot of points on these pages for being able to talk to people, comment. For each one of the items on this page, you're going to have the ability to like, celebrate, support, love, insightful, curious. Don't use these. This is way too Facebook-ish, and it doesn't seem to give you any points to your profile. Always use the comment section and have a comment that is a minimum of 8 words long. So thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate your thoughts. Something that's going to be a little bit more than just, oh, thanks. So 8 words in the comment section, and you should comment on something every day because that's going to be bringing your profile score up. Now, once you've commented on things and you've looked around and you see what seems to be in here, now you can start posting things for yourself. And at the top of the page, you can start a post, and you can either put in photos, videos, events, write a complete article. I don't recommend articles. People don't read articles. They want something short and sweet. But when you start a post, it does allow you to add a photo to the post, and that's normally something that you want to do because it takes up a little bit more space, and the eye is able to travel down the home page and find the pictures that might be most appealing. But in your post, when it says, what do you want to talk about? I'm interviewing tomorrow and need help. Now, LinkedIn is going to provide some hashtags that it's going to suggest that you add for any posts that you have. And what that does is that your post is normally going to be pushed out to the people who are in your LinkedIn network, however big that might be. But if it's also giving you the opportunity to broaden your voice and say, now everybody who's interested in interviewing and who is following hashtag interviewing, they're going to see your post and are going to be able to respond appropriately. So this sends your message to a lot more people. And then you can post it. So let's take a look at hashtags. And since we had hashtag interviewing, there are a lot of different hashtags associated with interviewing. We'll take this top one, and it'll take us to a page that shows that there are 54,649 people who are interested in the topic of interviewing. And everything on this page is going to be about interviewing. It could be interviewing tips. It could be how to set up interviews, what a second round interview is versus a first round versus a third. So anytime you want more people to see what you're talking about, take a look at what the hashtags could be for that. And follow the ones that you think are most important, because now on the home page, since I'm following this one, I'm going to see more people's comments about interviewing, more information in detail about it. Compare that hashtag interviewing with the hashtag management. 35 million, nearly 36 million people are interested in this topic. And everything on this page is going to be about management. Follow the topics that you're interested in. They could be very specific to the industry you're in. There's a hashtag oil and gas. There's a hashtag pharma. There's a hashtag for every industry out there. Or you can be looking for things that are more associated with how you're going to be more effective on the job. Hashtags on those. So utilizing hashtags to expand your profile and be able to find information that's more interesting to you can bring you a lot of information that could be good.
Ruth, Richard had a question in the chat window about the additional info/add project section. Is this searchable by anyone? My concern is for divulging information about suppliers.
It is visible to everyone. It is searchable by recruiters who are using the LinkedIn Recruiter software as well as just LinkedIn in general. But yes, the project work is going to appear at the bottom. There you go. The bottom of this section, and stay away from anything that could be considered proprietary or privileged information.
Thank you.
That's it.
That was
Jeff?
the only question I saw in the chat window. If anybody else has any questions, please, you can unmute your mic and ask away. Question?
Could you say the 3 most important things to do to improve your LinkedIn page in a synopsis quickly? Top three to do today.
Okay. Connect with companies and people within a company. That's number 1 and 2. Because those are the most influential, and increasing your headline so that you explain more about who you are and what you do. Those are the 3 things I would do today if you can't do anything else.
Thank you.
And it's not easy to explain who you are in 220 characters or less. And this may be an area that you change fairly frequently based on what you're seeing.
How often do you go in and modify your LinkedIn profile?
I change something every week. If I was a job searcher and I was not seeing the recruiters coming toward me, and I was not getting good numbers in my analytics, then every 2 months I would change my headline and the first paragraph of my about section.
Okay.
And I'd make sure my background picture was something professional. Mine happens to be tulips because it's that time of year, but I would put something more professional there if I was looking for a job.
Right. Okay, let's see here. Jill says, what's the best way to hashtag O&O without saying it in your about section or using the open to work button?
Your open to work button is definitely the best way. Never put it in a title field because that messes up the search. Any hashtags in a title field distort the search that LinkedIn has set up. So don't put it there. If you wanted to put it in your about section, I would put it down at the bottom to say, interested in new opportunities, contact me at.
And, you know, people talk, we debate all the time. Do you want to have the green banner on? Do you not want to have the green banner on? And my point of view is, if you're out looking for a job right now, or a new opportunity, and it's okay if you're currently working in your company, if the company knows you're looking and it's okay, put the banner on it, because quite frankly, less than 50% of recruiters actually pay for the recruiting package, and they would never be able to find that you're looking for work if you didn't have that on there. So, you know, if you're currently actively looking, put on the banner. And if you're, you know, and the question is, well, I don't want my company to know, maybe you need to sit down and have a discussion with your manager and just go, you know, I'm just not happy here. You know, I need to, you know, I'd like to, whatever, let them know what's going on, because maybe they'll fix it. Maybe they will move you to a different department. Maybe they'll give you a different opportunity. So, you know, if you haven't had an open and honest conversation with your manager, if you think you could do that if you're currently employed.
I have a question. Ruth, I wanted to get your opinion on the utility of someone in job search using LinkedIn Premium.
LinkedIn Premium does give you some additional information about the companies. You can find that information quite often if you go to their web page. If you have access to a library, you can use D&B Hoovers, which will give you even more information than LinkedIn could.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to give as much value as it used to. One of the best things it used to do is under this job section, if you're looking for, and let's just go with a project manager that is in the United States. If you're using these all filters and you notice down at the bottom, they've got the salary, that used to be only available to people who had LinkedIn Premium. Now they're using it, they're allowing everybody to use this. And that was one of the best features for it. I'm not a big fan of LinkedIn Premium. I think that you can get that same information in other ways.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Yes, this is Rich. Is there more value to commenting in the notifications area or on the homepage?
If you're on the notification area, there's really no way to have conversations. So conversations are generally in the homepage, and that's where the value is going to be, because this is where LinkedIn wants to have the conversations.
I mean, if you see something in your notification area and you click on that particular article, it'll take you to the article the person wrote or the comment they wrote, and then you can comment on their comment or you can comment on their article from there. But all it does is it just takes you back into the main feed. Does that answer your question, Richard?
Yes, it does.
Great.
Yeah, because I've noticed lately there's I don't know, I got connected with some folks that are I'll say diving, I think, deeper than Ruth is into the analytics portion of it. And they're doing like tests to say, okay, what does give you the most value and that sort of thing. And I thought I saw something to that effect, like, okay, it's more advantageous to improve your score if you're in that homepage and commenting than it is in the notifications area.
Yeah, well, I think when I've seen notifications that I want to comment on, when you click on it, it just pops you into either that person's feed. And, if you can make a comment, 30%, 20 to 30% of your contacts will see that comment along with the person who wrote the feed.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, anyone? All right, well, Ruth, thank you very, very much. For those people who, if you want to connect with Ruth, you may do so. Here is her LinkedIn profile. And if you do want to connect with Ruth, be sure to send that personal note. Let her know you saw her here today on LinkedIn Tuesdays. Next week, our presenter is Kurt Vonnemeyer. Kurt's a retained search executive at Linked Executive Search. He pays LinkedIn $10,000 a year for the full-blown recruiting package. And he will show us what it looks like from the back end. So Ruth showed us a few slides from the recruiting package. We'll show you what Kurt does on a daily basis to try to find you when he's searching for people. All right, I need everybody to please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. Just can't tell you how important it is. I get a LinkedIn, people want to connect with me every day. If you don't send me a personal note, I don't know why we should connect. I'm not an open networker, but I'll connect with you if you send me a note and tell me why we should connect. So as we mentioned before, when you see that white connect button, don't click on the white connect button, click on the person's face and always look for that blue connect button, because that way you can always send a personal note. Please join Career DFW and Career USA. We're putting on training 4 days a week. Coming up tomorrow, you'll get to watch the practice interview team have an actual practice interview. I haven't heard what the candidate's going to be yet, but join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It will only be on Zoom. It will not be on Facebook. Tomorrow being the third Thursday of the month, we'll talk all about resumes. Rex Sayat will be with us to talk about strategies to beat the ATS system, how to get your resume ready to go for the ATS system. And then this Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting, I mentioned that we'd have a really interesting speaker. we have a labor law attorney. She's going to talk about labor law issues, always a fascinating topic. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask the attorney, you may send me an email by tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Wait a minute, they don't care.
And I will get that information forwarded to our.
Maybe you should just tell her their legal stuff isn't gonna ship.
Oops,
You
hold
know
on.
what? They don't care.
So we'll get those questions answered for you this Friday. The one key is you have to remember, she works for companies, so you cannot have any specific, you can't in your questions ask any specific company, but you can say, company A says this, what are your thoughts, or something like that. But don't mention a company, because she works for companies, not for us. All right, let's see here. If you'd like to join the Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to do so. The Career DFW LinkedIn group has over 13,600 members. We're closing out on 13,700. You're welcome to join if you don't have to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I just happened to start the Career DFW group when I started the Career DFW website. And I started the Career USA one when I started the Career USA website. So you're welcome to join one or both. And I will tell you that probably 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 15 people who join the group, they're recruiters, because they're trying to find you using the free version. This session was recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for you to go back and view at your leisure. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist. Every video I upload will go into a different playlist. This one will be up there in a couple hours. It takes a couple hours for YouTube to load it. But you can click on whatever topic you want. Don't click on the video, but down below where you see that red arrow, click on View Full Playlist. Up will come a list of all the different titles and dates and topics, and you can go back and scroll down and find whichever one you'd like to go back and watch at your leisure. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, just send an email to Career USA, + subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the topic, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can grab your lunch and join us at 1 o'clock Tuesday through Thursday, and Friday mornings, grab some donuts or coffee and join us for our meeting. And you'll have the link to be able to open the email and join the link on Zoom. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Ruth's a volunteer, I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over this last 13 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. Please consider making a donation so we can continue to do what we're doing for everybody. So thank you very much for joining us today. Today is episode 478, our 478th workshop we put on since COVID started. So thank you for being with us, and we'll hopefully see you later in the week.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.